Warren didn't even look up from his notes when he said it. "We've decided to go in a different direction," I laughed, out loud, right there at the boardroom table, thinking it was a joke. 16 years I'd been building Meridian. From nothing. Late nights, back-to-back contracts, flying coach, while Warren sat up front, billing steak dinners to corporate. And now, I was just done. My name is Darren Holt. I'm 47 years old. I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. Warren finally looked at me, slow and smug, like he'd been waiting months to deliver this. Effective today, Jake will step in as interim VP of operations. Jake, as in his 31-year-old son-in-law, the same guy who once asked me what HIPAA stood for. The board sat silent. Not one of those cowards would meet my eyes. Tom adjusted his watch. Leon tapped his pen. Marty stared out the window like the parking lot suddenly got interesting. "You're firing me?" I asked, dead calm. Warren gave this little shrug. "We're restructuring. It's not personal. Bullet was surgical, calculated, gutless. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. Security will escort you back to your office," he added, like I was some damn threat. I stood up slow. My chair made this high screech across the polished floor, and that was the only sound in the room. I looked around the table one last time. All these men I'd shared drinks with, stood beside at funerals, pulled out of messes they made, and not one of them had the spine to speak up. "You couldn't have done this without me," I said. "Don't forget that." No one moved. I walked out, head high, even though my stomach was turning. The security guy didn't say a word, just walked half a step behind me like I might snap and throw a monitor. My office door was still half open. Same place I'd spent more hours in than my own damn house. 16 years. 16 years of building something I thought mattered. I stepped inside, locked the door behind me, and just stood there. The air felt thinner, like the oxygen had been sucked out the second Warren said those words. I didn't sit. I didn't cry. I just grabbed an old cardboard box from under the desk and started pulling my leaf off the walls. Photos, awards, my signed first deal. I opened the bottom drawer and saw the mug my sister got me that said, "Bosses get stuff done." I threw it in the trash. I knelt down and started digging through the bottom drawer, tossing old vendor folders and crumpled sticky notes onto the floor. There was a coffee stain on the corner of my Meridian 10-year club plaque. Fitting. The air in the office felt heavy now, like it was pressing down on me. This room used to hum with energy. My energy. Every deal, every decision, every damn late night, it all happened right here. Now it felt like I was boxing up a dead man's things. The plant in the corner had a few yellow leaves. My mom gave it to me the day I made VP, called it a money tree, said it would bring luck. I hadn't watered it in weeks, but it was still standing. I placed it gently in the box beside the photo of my first team, and the pen we used to sign our first 7-figure deal. My hands hesitated over a framed email from the CEO of St. Luke's. A thank you note after I salvaged their launch in 48 hours flat. Warren had wanted to pull the plug. I told him to give me 2 days. He never apologized when I fixed it. Just nodded like it was expected. I was bubble wrapping the small glass award we got for a community outreach when I heard the soft knock. Jess stepped in, already wiping her eyes. She shut the door behind her. "I just found out," she said, voice shaking. "They didn't even tell me until after." I nodded once. Couldn't get a word out. "They offered me your job." Her face twisted like she hated the words coming out of her mouth. Not VP, obviously, just assistant to Jake. "Of course they did," I muttered, trying to keep my hand steady as I closed a file box lid. "I haven't said yes," she added quickly. "I wanted to talk to you first. You've got 2 kids, Jess. One in college, right?" She nodded. "Take the job." She blinked. "What?" "Take it? You don't need to go down with me. I'll be fine." She looked like she didn't believe me. Honestly, I wasn't sure I believed me either. "I heard something else," she said, voice dropping. "They're telling the board you were the one who botched the St. Luke's project. Said you went rogue and almost lost the deal." I stood up straight. "What? Jake's pitching it like he stepped in and cleaned up your mess. I was in the room when the damn thing blew up. I saw you fix it. They're rewriting it already." I felt the rage come on fast, heat up the back of my neck. I'd saved that project. I had emails, timestamps, signatures. Hell, I had Jess as a witness. But none of it would matter. Warren was covering his ass. "You gonna fight it?" she asked. I looked at the plant again, still standing even with half its leaves dying. "No," I said, "not yet." Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, winced. "They're calling me back in." I nodded. "Take the job. Just don't let him talk down to you. And don't cover for him. I won't." Her eyes filled again. "You didn't deserve this." She walked out before I could say anything back. I was sealing the second box when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go. "Darren Holt. Mr. Holt, this is Claudia Steele." The name hit like a bucket of ice. CEO of North Point Health. Our biggest competitor. I'd pitched against her teams for years. She'd never called me once. "I heard about your departure," she said. Her voice was sharp. All edges, no fluff. "I'd like to meet." Today I sat down slowly in the chair that used to feel like a throne. "I assume this isn't a sympathy call," I said. She gave the faintest laugh. "Hardly. I think your old team just made the biggest mistake of their lives. I don't plan on wasting it. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no." "Where and when?" 4:00. Grand Hotel Lounge. I hung up, looked around the office one last time. The place felt smaller already. I picked up the box, walked to the door, and didn't look back. The Grand Hotel was the kind of place Warren liked to name drop, but never stayed at. White marble floors, dark leather everything, and a doorman who probably made more in tips than most interns made in a week. Claudia Steele was already sitting when I walked in. Corner booth, back straight, glass of red wine untouched in front of her. No small talk, no fake smile. She just waved me over like she'd been expecting me for weeks. I slid into the booth across from her, still carrying the weight of the day, still carrying the damn plant box in the trunk of my car. "You look like hell," she said. "Long day." I heard. Her eyes locked on mine, ice blue, no warmth. But not cold either, just surgical. Focused, not the type to waste a word unless it had teeth. "Drink?" she asked. "I'm good." She gave a small nod, like that was the right answer. "I'll make this quick," she said. "I want you at North Point." I blinked. "Doing what? Running compliance audits?" "Running your own division, with your name on it." That snapped me upright. She kept going like she hadn't just dropped a bomb. "Partner level, equity, board seat, full operational control. You build it how you want. I don't micromanage people smarter than me." I stared at her. "Why now?" "Because I've been watching you for 5 years. Every deal you landed, every screw-up you patched that Warren tried to pretend was his win." I leaned back, arms crossed. "You don't seem like the sentimental type." "I'm not. But I am strategic." I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch. She leaned in. "Warren thinks you're harmless." "That's his weakness?" He replaced a tactician with his idiot son-in-law and thinks that's strength. I gave a short laugh. "Jake doesn't even know what a single-payer contract is." "I know. I've met interns with better instincts." Her tone was steady, matter of fact. But I could feel the sharp edges in every word. "So, what's the real plan?" I asked. She didn't blink. "We let Warren implode, from the outside. You know where every hole in that ship is, and I've got a legal team ready to keep us clean." "And the Mayo deal?" I said, watching her closely. 50 million, give or take," she replied. "You landed it. Not Meridian. You negotiated it, built the trust, ran point every year. You don't think Dr. Ellis would take your call tomorrow?" I didn't answer. She smirked. "Thought so." I looked away, out toward the bar. 2 young guys in overpriced suits were talking fast, trying to look important. I remember being them once, before the war stories, before 16 years of building something that got handed off like a used stapler. "I'm not looking to burn bridges," I said finally. She raised an eyebrow. "Who said anything about burning them? Meridian lit the match when they fired you. I'm just offering the water hose. Aim the other direction." It was bold, ruthless, calculated, and it made my blood rush in a way I hadn't felt in years. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. "I need time," I said. "You've got 48 hours, she replied. "Then I make the offer to someone else." That was the only warning she gave. No guilt trip, no sales pitch. I stood up, still trying to process the shift that just happened in this booth. She didn't stand. Don't take too long, Darren. Second chances like this don't wait. I nodded once, turned, and walked out. The night air hit harder than I expected. I didn't have a company, didn't have a title, but for the first time in months, I felt alive. And something in my gut told me Warren had no idea what he just started. I'd barely kicked off my shoes when the phone rang. Unknown number, again. My gut said don't answer, but I did anyway. Darren Holt. Darren, it's Ellis. Just hearing his voice snapped me upright. Dr. Leonard Ellis, Mayo's Chief of Strategic Partnerships. The man whose signature had lived on every one of our $49 million contracts the past 8 years. I heard what happened, he said, skipping the pleasantries. Jesus, Darren! Are they out of their minds? I rubbed my forehead. Sounds like you heard the boardroom version. I don't care about their version. I care about you. You've been the only reason we stuck with Meridian this long. He was pissed. Not performative pissed. Real pissed. I just had our legal freeze the renewal process. It's paused until further notice. That made me sit down. You serious? We don't sign blind. We don't trust new hands with major compliance obligations. And frankly, I don't know this. Jake, he spat the name like it left a bad taste. We chose Meridian because of you. Not Warren, not the logo. You. I didn't say anything. My throat tightened up for a second, then cleared. Thanks for the call, I managed. You're not done, Darren. You're just free. Keep me posted. The line went dead. I stared at the wall for a minute, then let out a slow breath. That was the crack. The first real one. By morning, I was parked at the Overlook across from Meridian's HQ, same spot I used to eat lunch on tough days. It looked different now, smaller, hollow. 16 years of my life were in that glass tower. Missed birthdays, canceled trips. The Christmas Eve I spent in the basement filing invoices because our finance director had food poisoning and Warren couldn't risk a delay. I gave them everything, and they walked me out like I was a temp who stole a stapler. But the truth was, I didn't owe them silence. I didn't owe them anything. I opened my phone and pulled up Claudia's number, hit call. She picked up on the first ring. I'm in, I said. Good, she replied, no surprise in her voice. I already cleared space for your new team. What do you need from me first? Start planning. I'll get you a strategy brief by noon. You'll like what's in it. I hung up, started the car, and didn't look back at that tower. This wasn't about revenge. Not really. This was about reclaiming something they tried to bury. I spent the rest of the day mapping it out in a notebook. No laptop, yet, just pen and paper. Names of undervalued talent Meridian overlooked. Teams I could rebuild. Holes in Meridian's support contracts that I knew from memory. They thought they stripped me of power. What they actually did was take off the leash. By Friday morning, Claudia's legal team had me locked in airtight. I wasn't violating a damn thing. No poaching, no direct solicitation, no breach of my non-compete, just consulting, clean and legal. Mayo hired me on paper as an independent strategic analyst, which basically meant, tell us if Meridian's still worth our time. They weren't, not even close. I signed a 6-month agreement, no title, no flash, just money and freedom. I kept it low-key at first. No website, no press, no noise. I didn't need to announce I was building something. I just needed the right people to know I was back. The first text came Monday afternoon. Jess. He asked me how to convert a PDF to Word. I swear to God I didn't respond. Didn't need to. I wasn't sabotaging anything. I just stopped carrying their weight. The files were there. The systems were built. The processes were smooth because I made them that way. Now they had Jake, who couldn't find the quarterly risk matrix if it slapped him in the face. Meanwhile, I started making calls, quiet ones. Maya from Project Ops, laid off 2 years ago after restructuring. Smart, meticulous, brutally honest. Hired. Chris from Analytics. He ran the numbers Warren never understood. Meridian let him go to streamline costs. Dumbest move they ever made. Hired. Gabby from Vendor Compliance. Left last year after they gave her workload to 3 interns. I doubled her rate. Hired. We built fast. No red tape. No politics. No one fighting for credit. I gave them one target: build an offer for Mayo that makes Meridian look like they're selling office furniture. Every detail had to be airtight: service delivery, compliance automation, real-time audit trails, expanded API integrations. Stuff I begged Warren to approve for years. Now, we did it in 3 weeks. I worked late one night, reviewing the draft proposal while sipping bad vending machine coffee. I looked across at Warren's office. Lights on. He was pacing. Again. Jess sent another text. Board asked Jake where the 2023 HIPAA logs were stored. He said, probably in the cloud. No idea what that means. I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. I just sent our first draft to Mayo's procurement inbox. No press release. No headline. Just one offer. Stronger, smarter, cleaner. Let them figure out who it came from. Mayo's procurement team replied within 48 hours. They wanted clarification on 2 things: our implementation timeline and a detailed breakdown of the compliance automation feature. That was it. No pushback, no corporate jargon, just interest. I sent the full consulting report the next morning. I made sure it landed on Dr. Ellis's desk directly, not filtered through his staff. 36 pages, no fluff. Just straight-up analysis. And in the middle of it, a 6-page section labeled high-risk gaps in current vendor infrastructure. I didn't name Meridian, but I didn't have to. Non-compliant data encryption protocols, outdated authentication procedures, 3 client support tickets still unresolved after 90 days. All traceable, all documented, all ignored by Jake and his genius roadmap. 3 days later, Mayo paused all scheduled meetings with Meridian. I got the message through a back channel. Not a termination, just a freeze. Executive discretion, which in legal terms means we're moving, but we're not announcing it yet. That's when the others started sniffing around. First, it was Saint. Luke's, the CIO, emailed from his personal Gmail. He'd heard rumors, wanted to chat casually about vendor continuity options. Then someone from Capital Memorial, one of Meridian's secondary accounts, pinged me through LinkedIn. Hypothetically, she said, if you were to stand up a full-service operation. It didn't take long. I wasn't advertising anything, but word spreads fast when the cracks show. And the cracks were growing. Jess texted again. Board called another emergency. Lindale's CEO wants answers about a breach. Jake didn't know what to say. I froze. Lindale. Warren's baby. The acquisition he bragged about in every earnings call. I told him months ago there were red flags in Lindale's back-end security, poor firewalls, shared passwords, outdated software. He told me to focus on sales. Now it was bleeding. I called one of my old vendor partners, still friendly, still under Meridian contract. He didn't say much, but the tone told me everything. Lindale's looking to cut their losses, he said quietly. They might pull out by quarter end. It's getting ugly, I didn't gloat. I didn't have to. From my office window, I watched the parade of suits coming in and out of Meridian's lobby. Panicked board members, outside consultants, lawyers in gray. Emergency meetings, more of them each week. Stocks dipped 4% in 5 days. News hadn't broken yet, but I could see it coming. Meridian was built like an old dam, strong when the pressure was even, but I was the one managing the pressure. Now the leaks were obvious. And I hadn't made a single public move. I hadn't given an interview. I hadn't spoken out. I hadn't posted one bitter message or taken a single swing. I just stopped keeping the lights on. And in the dark, everything they ignored started crawling out. Gabby forwarded me an internal report someone leaked from Meridian's own help desk. 97 open tickets. System uptime dropped. Vendor relations at a 10-year low. I read it all with a black coffee in hand and a straight face. They thought firing me would be a clean cut. What they didn't realize, I wasn't the knife. I was the hand holding it. My phone rang just after 10. No caller ID, but I already knew who it was. I let it buzz 3 times before picking up. Darren. Warren's voice was calm, too calm, like he was calling about golf, not the burning wreck he was standing in. You got a minute? I leaned back in my chair, kicked my feet up. Sure. I've been thinking, he started. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Things moved too fast. Tempers flared. I stayed quiet. Let him twist a little. I should have handled your transition better, he said. We're all feeling your absence. Jake's young, still learning, and I don't think we gave you enough credit for the years you put in. I almost laughed. He couldn't even say the word fired. So here's what I'm thinking, he went on. Come back as a strategic advisor, high level. Set your own hours. We'd structure it however you want. Same compensation as before. Maybe even more. I didn't answer right away. I wanted him to feel that silence, the weight of it. You think I walked away, Warren? I said finally. I didn't leave. You tossed me out with the trash. He paused, then his tone shifted, sharper now. Look, if this is about feelings, it's about respect. And you ran out of that the day you slid your son-in-law into my seat. You want stock? Fine. You want a board seat? We can talk about it. What do you want, Darren? That's when I stood up and walked to the window. The Meridian Tower was dark in half the floors now. I could see the cleaning crew's reflection, but no executives burning midnight oil. Not anymore. I already got it, I said. What does that mean? It means I don't need your offer, or your title, or your money. I let the words hit. The truth's out, Warren. Everyone sees it now. You needed me. You always did. His voice cracked just slightly. You really want to do this? I'm not doing anything. I just stopped fixing your messes. That's all it took. Then I hung up. No goodbye, no explanation. Next morning, I was in the office early when Gabby slid me her phone with a grin. Dr. Ellis had sent over the final email. We're officially terminating with Meridian. Full transition to your team. Contract attached. I opened the file. $52 million. Signed, sealed, done. Jess texted 10 minutes later. Warren's locked in the boardroom. Phone's off. Jake's crying in the copy room. Not kidding, I didn't reply, just forwarded the contract to Claudia with a subject line that said one word, delivered. Before we wrap up, what would you have told Warren on that call? Drop it in the comments. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't need revenge. I had something better. Control. It hit Bloomberg before noon. Lindale Group terminates deal with Meridian Health Systems amid data concerns. 21% drop in the first 4 hours. By market close, analysts were calling it the beginning of a slow bleed. Jess forwarded me the internal email blast. Warren didn't write it. The board did. Leadership restructuring effective immediately. Corporate speak 4, he's out. By the end of the day, Jake had stepped down to pursue new opportunities. Probably back to marketing golf equipment or whatever the hell he was doing before Warren handed him my title. I got 2 emails that night. First one was from Marty, one of the same board members who wouldn't look me in the eye during that meeting. I'm sorry for how it played out. You didn't deserve that. We knew you were the backbone. Second was from Leon. We should have fought harder for you. That's on us. I didn't respond to either. Not out of spite. Just didn't see the point. That chapter was closed. By Friday morning, 3 hospital systems had reached out. No marketing, no announcement, just word of mouth. Heard you're consulting now. Any chance we could schedule time? Looking to reevaluate vendor structure, hoping to get your input. We've got a 6-figure problem. You're the only guy who ever solved them on time. I forwarded everything to Claudia's assistant. We set up meetings for next week. Claudia called me later that day. You free tonight? I could be. Good. Meet me at Dovetail at 7. We're celebrating Dovetail was her spot. Quiet, clean, impossible to get a table unless your name carried weight. Hers did. We sat outside under the heat lamps. She had a glass of wine. I had bourbon. She raised her glass. To the end of the Blackwood era, she said. I raised mine back. To the start of something better. We didn't clink. Didn't need to. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what we built. The standards, the brains, the work. I looked around the restaurant, full of executives playing power games and interns trying to be noticed. I'd been both, but now I was something else. I was running a company built on competence, on execution. No politics, no bloodlines. Just people who actually knew what the hell they were doing. Meridian wasn't dead. It'd limp along for a while. The logo still printed on contracts. The tower still lit half the night. But everyone paying attention knew the truth. The machine worked because I ran it. Now that I wasn't, the wheels were flying off. Claudia gave me a look over her glass. You good? I'm better than good, I said. I'm free. She smiled. Good. Stay sharp. We've got more coming. I nodded. Let them come. I wasn't rebuilding what I lost. I was building something they couldn't touch. I stood at the window of my office, coffee in hand, watching the river cut clean between me and the Meridian building. It was early, sky still gray, streets half empty, the city not quite awake yet. I liked it that way. The tower across the water still looked impressive from a distance. Glass, steel, polished edges. But I knew better. The tower looked different now. Not because it had changed, but because I had. Now I stood taller, on my side of the river, in a space that didn't owe me anything, because I owned all of it. The floors, the brand, the damn coffee machine. No board, no deadweight nephew, no idiot son-in-law waiting in the wings. Just me. And a team built on brains, not bloodlines. My phone buzzed, a text from Jess. They're asking if you'll consult. I stared at it for a second, then typed one word. Declined. My new assistant knocked twice and stepped in with a clipboard. Another hospital system, she said. Asking for a call this week. Big one. I nodded. Schedule it. She stepped out, and I took one last look across the river.